2C, technology infrastructure upgrade overview. Have a motion?
That's me.
On this one.
I just wanted to give an update. It's been a little minute before I've had a talk with you guys. But as you know, we have E-rate funding that comes to us, and we've been able to build toward the future. In the past, you guys were able to, with monies that we've gotten back from E-rate, we have a little fund that helps us to be able to continue to build with that. So I just wanted to bring us up to date to where we are. We're currently in the middle of a build out and an upgrade. So we started out, and I don't know if all of you know, I'll give you a little history. I do like this tonight. I'll give you a little history. We started out being the first district in the state to have fiber. That was actually prior to my being in this position. That started out being, we upgraded to be 250 megs at our schools with 500 at the district site. That allowed our time to be able to do what we needed to do with the schools. Some of you were probably in the schools at that time. We had desktops, we had so forth like that. From that time, we've had to build. So because we've been proactive and we've been able to use E-rate monies as E-rate expanded to category 2, we were able to expand to Wi-Fi. So we were able to take that E-rate that came in with category 2 and take that money and go in, expand to Wi-Fi. We didn't have to take, if y'all remember when we went back to that, at one point we thought we could only do some schools. Because E-rate, the way E-rate worked at that time was the most in need schools. So we applied at that time. And then we moved on from there because E-rate changed. So when E-rate changed, what happened was that allowed us to do Wi-Fi across the whole district. So not just our high free lunch schools. We were able to hit every single school and we were able to do a net. That allowed us to be able to build to one-to-one. We couldn't move to one-to-one until we did that. So we've been teetering on about 90% to now we're 85%. So when we apply for E-rate, these monies that we're using to build, E-rate is paying for 85% of that. We only have to pay as a district 15% of these type of costs that we're doing. So when we look at that, like I said, if you remember, I think Mr. Mark, you were there when we had some things when we were doing that Wi-Fi. E-rate paid us back. You guys said, we said, hey, can we take that money and use it for our upgrades? And y'all did. Y'all allowed us to do that. The deal was, we come to you and we're like, hey, we have this to do. Can we use this E-rate money to put back and support the district for growth? We're getting to the end of that money. However, Esther's money came. So now we've been able to take that bang for buck and we've been able to continue to grow. So growing from that, we went to a gig. So we had to expand more devices. We went to online testing. We've gone to more digital. And so we went to, when COVID hit, we were at a gig. We had a gig to all of our schools. We had a Cox contract that we had gone out to bid, and the bid was so competitive that at that time, when we got that back from Cox, we were paying the lowest amount for internet across the state. And so we were able to save money that way as well, because we actually were paying for more bandwidth at the same price with no impact to our budget whatsoever because of that bidding process that we went through. All right, fast forward a little bit. We've expanded more. We're now going, we started a one-to-one program. We now have Wi-Fi bandwidth. We moved up to 10 gigs. So we now had 10 gigs at our district level, and 10 gigs to each one of our schools. However, we couldn't afford everything. So within our internal infrastructure, we still only had a gig. So that means to the classroom. So I have 10 gigs, I have all of my good little bandwidth. We haven't had any trouble with testing and so forth. But as I get down into the classroom, I'm having to kind of funnel that down, and I only have a gig. Still no problems, but we needed to expand because a pandemic hit. And not only did a pandemic hit, we saw what was happening with education. And so we saw more video conferencing. We saw, again, increased online testing. So now we're looking at online testing, not just with the state, but we do online testing with benchmarks. We do even our businesses. So our business servers, we have virtual servers, we have virtual desktops. When the pandemic hit, we were one of the districts that were able to very flexibly move into some remote learning and be able to work remotely. We quickly spun up several of our desktops, and we were able to do it because of what we've been able to proactively be able to be prepared and handle what's coming down the pipe. Where does that lead us? Now, we're at the point, and we're moving into ESSER funds now. We're still using our big bang bucks with our E-rate funding. And what we're doing is coupling it now. Instead of having to hit general fund, we're hitting some ESSER funds because ESSER funds allows us to do this because we are servicing and getting what our children need for their learning. So we have expanded our Wi-Fi to now outside of just the internal school. So now into our football stadiums, out into our parking lots. I can go rather far and still catch if I'm on our device, our Wi-Fi. Now, where we are now is we are moving up to 10 gigs all the way to the classroom. So, like I said, we're at 10 gigs. We're moving to 10 gigs into the classroom. We have now come back. We had to go through another bidding process with our internet. Cox came as one of our bidders again. They came to the table again with very good pricing, but we're looking to build. Last time we built in to move to 10 gigs. Now we're looking to build into 100 gigs, 400 gigs. Do we need it now? No, but should we need it? We're ready. We have the pricing. But we had to get our infrastructure back to that point. So at this point, we have done 3 schools. By summer, we will have all 3 of our high schools, 1 elementary school, and these 2 central buildings. And what that will allow is we will have 10 gigs here, and then 10 gigs to all of our buildings, and 10 gigs all the way into the classroom. When we hit testing this year, we were kind of worried. We weren't sure how this was going to look, how it was going to play out with all of the devices and so forth what we had. However, the schools that we upgraded, we had no problems. 0. No calls for any Wi-Fi bandwidth issues or any connectivity issues. That was a win. That was great. So where we stand now is by summer, like I said, we will have all of these. By next year, we're going to have all of our schools in the new system, which would be all of those up to 10 gigs all the way to the classrooms. In addition to that, we started out with Wi-Fi radios, what you see every so often. That was one of the best models at the time. But in addition to that, we've been able to come in and upgrade our radios. So our radios can now handle the higher bandwidth and the density. So whereas you see here, oh, there's a Wi-Fi, there's a radio, I can go a little bit further and I can handle more and more devices. What we're seeing with our schools is continued increase with video conferencing, streaming, testing, all of these things that require these higher bandwidth. But we're also seeing where, look at me, I have 2 devices. So I also see where we're needing multiple devices. We're running robotics. We're running all of these things where it's not just 7,500 kids, it's 7,500 devices plus. So now we're working to get that, and to be ready and capable. And so far, what we've seen is we are able to handle this. And the network will not only be able to handle the 10 gig that we currently have, but with our contract, our network, with what we're building out now and what we will be finished with, will be able to handle 100 gigs. And I just wanted to bring us up to date because I hadn't had that discussion with you guys and how you were spending your money, how we spent the money that we've gotten from Eaton and now the money that we have for Esther's. We're being proactive. We are building for the future of our kids.
Thank you for your hard work and dedication. Okay, moving on to item 2D. Consider and/or recommend action with regard to acceptance and award of bid for St. Martinville Senior High driveway project to Low Bidder Hill Construction in the amount of $238,582. Motion by Ms. Vital, second by Mr. Mr. Knott. Let's vote. Motion passed. 2E, and consider and/or recommend action with regard to authorization of the bond committee and superintendent to accept low, quote, if within budget was proposals are received for outstanding summer projects.
Move to accept.
Motion by Mr. Abear, second by Mr. Stelling. Any discussion?
This is?
No.
Can I
Yes,
just bring
sir.
up, just to make sure we clarify, in your statement, you said in the event it's within budget, some of these went a little over budget due to, pricing that's now occurring across the board. Some of these came in a little under budget. I think at each one of the districts, the over and under kind of washed out. But I just want to make you aware, as you can see, Parks Middle, it was a little over what we had budgeted. However, we did a little more work than we anticipated, and the price of everything is easily in construction doubling and tripling. So just be prepared for future projects in construction. It's going to be more than what we had anticipated or even what you're used to even just a year ago. So I want to bring that to your attention.
Yeah, we still, everything, overall it came under.
Everything came in, yeah, over and under came in above what had been projected, yes.
Okay, let's vote. Motion passed. Item 2F, consider and/or recommend action with regard to renewal of workman's comp, TPA, and loss control services.
This is an annual renewal. We're with Loca, and they've offered us a contract with the same services and the same cost as last year, so I'm recommending renewal of the contract for 1 year.
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Abear, seconded by Mr. Potteet. Let's vote. Motion passed. Item 2G, consider and/or recommend action with regard to excess workers' comp renewal. Mr. Blanchard.
Okay, I'm gonna defer to Mr. Carroll, who's down in Brown, he has the facts and figures that go along with
Good afternoon. So we went to the market this year, kind of give you a little history. About 4 years ago and prior, y'all were with a company called Safety National. And Safety National, about 2 years ago, decided to non-renew the school board's excess workers' comp coverage. So we moved you over to a company called Midlands. And interestingly enough, that same year, Safety National bought Midlands. So they were back on your account for the last couple of years. They've been, your self-insured retention on the excess comp is the first $700,000 of every claim that you retain. Well, Safety National has been in a mode of trying to get companies and school districts and municipalities to increase that to what is now basically their minimum of $1 million retention. They haven't forced it on us yet, but it's coming. And so, when we updated payrolls for this year, they did give us, a little bit, a tiny rate increase on the payroll increase as well as the rate, but it really wasn't a whole lot to speak about. It went from 117 to 123, about $6,000. So the percentage change almost matched the percentage change in payroll increase. So we went out to the market, and on Friday, I had gotten we have another carrier called Midwest Employers Casualty, A+ rated, 15 financial rating, same rating as Safety National. We use the same payrolls that Casey had given us for this upcoming school year. And they came in with a $7,000 decrease in premium over what you paid last year and a $13,000 decrease over what you would be paid this year. We have very good experience with Midwest Employers. My recommendation is to move from Safety National to Midwest Employers. They're not at a point right now, and they don't believe that we are in a situation where we would have to raise our retention. The overall rate that they're charging is a lot lower. So that means when you have your end of the year audits, your additional audit premium, should you have one, would be a lot lower than it would be with Safety
So
National
y'all
as
had
well.
success with Midwest?
Absolutely. West Feliciana Parish School Board is with
Move
Midwest.
to accept?
Second.
That's no brainer.
I have a motion by Mr. Abear, second by Ms. Vital.
That's to accept the new,
The new company, yeah, because you're gonna save on, according to their new premium, you're gonna save $13,000.
Yep.
In a year.
Which is National Safety National.
Yeah, Safety National. was-
Right.
All right, let's vote. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2H. Student accident insurance. We're up for renewal. Mr. Blanchard, you want to inform us?
Bobby Horn retired, so it took a little while to get the quote from the new guy, his replacement. This is the student accident. It covers our athletes, covers our students on a day-to-day. If you remember years ago, we used to have it just on the students and just on the athletes, and they extended a small amount of coverage to every student in the district. They've offered us a flat renewal, again, with the same services, and they're guaranteeing it for 2 years, but no rate increase. So the same price as last year. I recommend we jump on it.
Move to accept?
Motion by Mr. Abear, second by Mr. Fuji. Let's vote. Motion passed. Item 3H, discuss purchasing new vehicles for maintenance. Ms. Vital.
Again, park maintenance, so, we had a meeting and Mr. Peters gonna discuss about the vehicles. Maintenance vehicles.
When you're on the spot, Pete.
Okay,
Oh, no, we talked about it with
All right.
Ms. Casey,
I just,
just a discussion.
it was brought up and Ms. Vital had asked me my thoughts on, depreciation of what's within the fleet. And I said that probably a prudent way of addressing it would be, as there are depreciable assets, that some kind of scheduling be made, that these depreciable assets are interchanged on an annual basis, maybe not full-fledged coming out to where we need to buy a fleet of trucks. However, there are some low-end vans and trucks within our fleet right now that 250,000 miles, constant care, you start putting in expenses into these older vehicles, and I just don't think it's prudent to be able to do that.
How many vehicles do we have in the fleet? So, do you know?
We have 8 of the cargo trucks that we have 2 vans, we have a small, S10. Some of these have been upgraded, a few years before I got here.
Why don't we have staff check into possibly, and I don't know if they still do this, but I think the St. Martin Parish, the government, if I'm not mistaken, they lease their vehicles. So it's something to possibly look into because, and find out the history, why they went to it. And I want to say it was Guy Cormier that started that years ago. And he felt it was beneficial. I just remember a conversation happening with him back, a while back. And it may be something that we want to look into. Instead of buying vehicles every so often, then we just paying a flat rate of a rental. And see which one's more beneficial to us, cost effective wise. That would be something you can look into. That's the only thing I have to say about it.
We can do that. The other thing we'll do is, Mr. Darcel, we'll get a list of all the vehicles with mileage, similar to what we had done with the buses a few years ago.
And they may pay us better to buy our own vehicles,
But we, in 2013, when I was appointed as a director, we had some trucks on the road with close to 500,000 miles on them, some of them from the early 90s. So we bought, I think, 3 vehicles one year, and we bought Mr. Menard a new truck. Then we bought 5, probably 2018, and we bought another 4 or 5 a couple of years ago. So probably 75% of our vehicles are 2013 or newer. So most of them are relatively new. Now, some of those older vans, like Pete said, you're getting to the point where you're spending sometimes $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 a year on them. So those it would be probably better, you pay for it in 3 years. You went and bought a state contract vehicle. Now, the problem we've run into, Mr. Darcel went to buy a vehicle for the transportation department.
Still waiting on it.
Right, they wouldn't even let us place an order at the time, so we'll need to double check, Mr. Darcel, if you would do that, just double check, see if we can even place an order on the vehicle right now. So.
State contract hasn't been reviewed yet. Parish.
So what we can do, we'll put together a list based on the age and mileage and come back. Mr. Darcel will look into the cost of renting versus buying. We'll come back in July with the report.
My mindset is pretty much with these vehicles or maybe moving over into the HVAC department. When in HVAC, if you start having units that are over 20 years old and you're changing motors or compressors or coils or, you're getting some high price repairs into a 20-year-old system, knowing full well that within the next year to 2 years, there will probably be another high expense, I realize the price of buying or changing out a new unit, or I realize the price of buying and changing out vehicles, it's high end. However, if you kick the can down the road too far, you've gotten yourself into a situation where I've spent at least half of the price of a new vehicle or a new unit, and Now it's completely gone. Now I have to go and buy a new unit. Now, if there's not enough money within the budget to fund a new vehicle or a new unit, you have to do what you have to do. But I think it would be prudent to at least look at the idea of changing some of these things out instead of throwing good money after bad. Just something that we need to look at because the other way looking at it, you 2 or 3 years, you put a Band-Aid on it, but now I have a large expense or I have a large expense over, I need 4 vehicles and as opposed to buying a vehicle a year or something in those lines, or possibly leasing, at least look at all your options so that you don't get bit on the back end when it does hit you.
Parish uses enterprise.
What's that?
Parish uses enterprise. 5 years.
We'll do the research and come back with some numbers.
I can possibly get with the parish and see exactly what program y'all are on and how it's working and bring back some information to y'all to where, at least, educate yourself to where there are other options out there or continue to work within your budget to keep your fleet somewhat updated, where you don't get hit on the back end.
Okay. Anybody else? Motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Cochi, second by Mr. Abear. Meeting adjourned.
We'll take a 5-minute break and we'll come back at 4:35, start the meeting. Let's be, he's here.
No, I was.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussions, allow us to be closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. We ask this in the holy name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcement of activation.
I'm going to turn the floor over to Ms. Roselle Lewis. We have some students we're going to recognize with the AR program.
Okay, good evening. According to the 2021 Pew Research Center survey, reading for fun has become less common. In the survey, only 4 in 10 students said they read for fun almost daily. However, students who performed better on reading sections of standardized tests in 2020 reported they read for fun daily. Today, we are here to recognize students in grades 1 through 12 who have reached major milestones in their reading practice through our Accelerated Reader program. Our 100-point club honorees are from grades 1 through 8, and our 250-point and 500-point clubs consist of students in grades 3 through 12. We will begin with our 100-point club members. When I call your name, please come forward and receive your award and take a picture with the superintendent. And we have several who are not here. They're in camp, they're on vacation. So I will call everyone's name so they can be recognized. And we also have the librarian from Cecilia Primary who came to support her babies. She has a lot of babies being recognized. We have Aiden Bork, a second grader from Cecilia Primary, earned 114 points, took 231 quizzes, read 186,895 words. Is Aiden here? Avelina Cruz, second grade, Cecilia Primary, 121 points, 257 quizzes, 94,435 words. Tegan Dimashek, a first grader at Cecilia Primary, earned 100 points, 206 quizzes, 33,706 words. Brent Duplashane, second grade, Cecilia Primary, 123 points, 260 quizzes, 164,781 words. Okay, Landon Finroy, a first grader at Cecilia Primary, 110.8 points, 228 words, quizzes, 94,366 words. Where's Landon? And next we have Allie Oye, a first grader at Cecilia Primary, 100.3 points, 203 quizzes, 49,813 words. Is Allie here? Okay, next we have Logan McCormick, who I know is here. Second grader at Cecilia Primary, 124.8 words, 238 quizzes, 264,511 words. Next, we have Caleb Mudd, a second grader at Cecilia Primary, 122.2 points, 254 quizzes, 95,620 words. Next, we have Liam Quibido, a second grader at Cecilia Primary, 109.6 points, 222 quizzes, 120,892 words.
It's fine. Go back and meet your parents.
We also have Jaleesa Ramirez, second grade, Cecilia Primary, 109 points, 231 quizzes, 47,822 words. I don't think Jaleesa is here. Carson Romero, also a first grader at Cecilia Primary, 122 points, 253 quizzes, 52,668 words. Jaqueline Shea, second grader, Cecilia Primary, 139 points, 287 quizzes, 111,974 words. Ryan Zaray, second grader, Cecilia Primary, 100.4 points, 209 quizzes, 84,903 words. Okay. Next, we have Xander Buckner, a fourth grader, Parks Primary, 139.6 points, 47 quizzes, 955,645 words. Next, we have Raiden Blanchard, a third grader, all the way from Stevensville Elementary, 182 points, 113 quizzes, 1,330,179 words. Next, we have Ian Gibson, a third grader at Stevensville Elementary, 150.8 points, 59 quizzes, 1,124,751 words. I don't think Ian is here. Another Stevensville student, Catherine Holler, eighth grade, Stevensville, 104.1, 14 quizzes, 736,777 words. Another little one from Stevensville, Abby Rose Harvey, third grade, 135 points, 76 quizzes, 1,013,241 words. Okay, Elizabeth Landry is a fourth grader at Stevensville Elementary, 112.2 points, 29 quizzes, 800,572 words. Okay, next we have DeAndre Briscoe, a seventh grader at Cecilia Junior High, 127.9 points, 12 quizzes, 870,275 words. Next, we have Bryce Oob, eighth grade, Cecilia Junior High, 178.6 points, 12 quizzes, 1,199,380 words. Okay, now moving on to our 250-point club. And all the way from Stevensville Elementary, we have Mr. Jack Shirley, third grade, 311 points, 93 quizzes, 2,232,756 words. Next, we have Caleb Terrio. Caleb is an eighth grader at Parks Middle School, 269.3 points, 21 quizzes, 1,988,849 words. I know some of my high schoolers have graduated or at cheerleading camp. So we have Victoria Dupre, is in 12th grade. Victoria graduated Cecilia High, 471 points, 24 quizzes, 3,085,588 words. And I know that Carly Falk is at cheerleading camp. She's an 11th grader at Cecilia High, 257.5 points, 16 quizzes, and 1,761,122 words. Another from Cecilia High, Cami Guillory, 10th grader, 401 points, 23 quizzes, 2,647,565 words. Maya Lister, also a graduate of Cecilia High, 283.5 points, 20 quizzes, 1,905,654 words. Scarlett Miller, also a graduate, Cecilia High, 269, 15 quizzes, 1,787,376. We have next Brittany Pham. She's in 9th grade at Cecilia High School with 326.7 points, 27 quizzes, 2,088,830 words. And in all of St. Martin Parish, we have one member in the 500-point club, and that's Mr. Benjamin Sasso, 9th grader, Cecilia High School with 594.7 points. He took 42 quizzes, and he read 4,030,608. I say congratulations to all. Hopefully next year we'll have more to recognize. And I'll try to do it in May, which means some people are gonna have to speed it up to get their points in. But thank
Southern Scripts Employee of the Month?
Okay.
Okay, our Southern Scripts Employee of the Month, we have two people. They are from St. Martinville High, so I will call Mr. Lane up so that he can recognize his folks as he's the person who nominated them. So,
Actually, I think it was Christy Hewland nominated him.
oh, okay.
But I don't see Miss Christy here, so I will nominate we have Miss Sport Johnson and Miss Wendy Kilgore, who are in charge of our prom committee, and brought prom back to St. Martinville Senior High. And if you've never been to a prom in St. Martinville, please come visit. It's a fun event. The whole town comes and visits us. Thanks to these ladies for putting this on.
Okay, is there any addition or deletion to the agenda? If not, we'll move on to the next item. On the consent agenda, is there any people don't want to discuss this want to be removed?
Richard,
Yes, sir.
more after Terry says it, I think, 2H, consider approved contracts for services for, it's a nice title. I'm being asked to vote on something, contract I have not read. Now, if you're current, you read it, you'll put small print, I'll vote yes. Provide services.
This is our, it's an annual renewal with our 18th occupational therapist, physical therapist.
Okay, as long as there's no small print, you use that.
Okay.
Good. And then the next one is F, the evaluation for Mr. Fred. I have a question, might be my memory, but item number 8 on the evaluation sheet, we're for the curriculum director for program in Magnet School. Now, to refresh my memory, I thought maybe years ago, they started Magnet School somewhere in St. Martin, right?
We have
And
a,
then, if my memory is correct, it worked well for the summer program. It was on Saturday.
no, it's STEM.
It's spin, so it has nothing to do with a magnet school.
Well, we consider it a magnet, but it's not a magnet program.
So I want to make sure that we don't have a magnet school. But
No.
yeah, okay. We don't have one.
It's not a school, it's a program in the school.
Okay. I'm okay now.
All right, we need a motion for item number 2. A motion by Mr. Clay, second by Ms. Peter. Vote. All in favor? Any nays? Motion carried. Item number 4, Finance Committee recommendation. Move to approve. A motion by Mr. Hebert, second by Mr. Forte. All in favor? Vote. Any nays? Motion carried. Item number 5, new business. Consider approve Head Start Policy Council recommendation. PC minute, DC 09/22/23, Head Start calendar. Ms. Angel.
So if you look in your packet, really the only things that, we're asking for approval, we did align the Head Start year, 22-23 calendar, to align with the school system as well as the required numbers of days for both the early Head Start program and the Head Start program. So we're asking for approval for that. And the other thing that was on the agenda was the eligibility selection criteria updates, but it was tabled at policy council and it'll be on next month's agenda for y'all to review.
Okay, we'll take that. Motion by Ms. Forte, second by Ms. Johnson. All in favor, vote. Any nays? Motion carried. Item 5B, consider approved resolution and for redistricting proposal for St. Martin Parish School Board as presented by Matt Heffernan. Y'all okay with the report? I'm sure they will get one day. My district still at 60%. I'm good.
Oh, no, we chopped it.
All right, all right. We have a motion by Ms. Peter, second by Ms. Stewart. Ms. Stewart. All in favor? Vote. Any nays? The motion carried. Item 5C, consider approve placing local students with our custodians for the summer work program sponsored by Acadian Workforce Solutions. Right?
We did this last year. They, Acadiana Workforce Solutions hire some of our students in a little summer program they have. And they may need to place some of them with our 12-month custodians at the schools. So as of now, I'm not aware of any yet, but we would have that option if it's our students and they pay.
Motion by Ms. Forte,
Second.
second by Mr. Clay. Vote. Any nays? The motion carried. Item 5D, consider approve the purchase of pen management program for responding to intervention data collection, intervention, program, and tracking, progress monitoring. Ms. Dacko.
Yes, we have, received some information from the state saying that, and it's not just we, I mean, across Louisiana, there are 40 to 50% of students leaving grades K-3 across the state who are not reading on grade level. It is by law that we have to have a response to intervention program. So we provide interventions for students in reading and math who are performing below level. Well, it's getting more and more difficult to track because our schools are trying to do it using spreadsheets. And so this is a program that would allow us to find a student and look at all of their interventions and see how they're progressing in academics, attendance, behavior, and social emotional learning. So it's just something that would allow us to be able to make quicker decisions about students, because I just had one last week that dealt with promotion retention, and it took me a while because there were 3 different spreadsheets, one for SPLC, one for RTI, and another one that related to the student's behavior and progress.
Question. Yes, sir.
The 65,700, is that a one-time fee,
That's a yearly fee.
yearly fee?
Motion.
My question is, will it call for more employees? They only the supervisor? Or how will the employees have the input? How will they do that? Overwork?
No, it would-
Too much work.
It would actually relieve the burden of the people who are doing, RTI, because you are able to pull reports that automatically disaggregates the data for you. So it's gonna be easier for the schools, for school administrators. Mr. Blanchard, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Bonhomme would be able to sit at their desk and see on a daily basis on the dashboard, which schools are you having whatever incidents, like, and you can see if, let's say, fighting is the big incident or whatever. You can see if this is happening at St. Martinville Primary or at Tesh Elementary. You can see that on a daily basis, just like you can see academically by standards, how are the students performing?
So, the last few months, I think we have adopted 3 principles in Go Bridge. We have to extend the deadline because people are tired of more work, all right? Now I understand that we got 2 from Cecilia that are leaving. So much work. Actually, 2 of those principals have left their job to go with Head Start.
Early
Because
childhood.
it's so much easier. And I said, when we went to Head Start, that was against, but that's a very simple reason. So where are we going to get new principals for Cecilia? And what happened in Grove Bridge, we shuffled a few around. Grove Bridge had always had, good school performance scores. You saw the score last year. I'm afraid the same thing will happen to the city. So more work, more people leave, and it does concern me.
I also want to mention that in the proposed consent decree that we may have coming up, RTI is a huge factor that they have put into the consent decree. So we have to be able to track it well.
Got a question. Could the ESSA funds be used for this?
We are using ESSA funds.
That's actually who's paying for it, so it's not general fund.
And once ESSA is over, we'll look at title funds to grade funds, through the title funds.
But eventually we'll have to pay. After the ESSA funds in 24, I think they end.
Right, September of 2024.
So we'll have to work that in the budget.
cost? 65,000.
We'll have to work that in the budget after that.
Everything that's being done by this program, we are currently doing by hand right now. In a spreadsheet or something. What happens is it's tracked one way at one school, one way at another. So when you're required to submit a report on what you're doing, you've got to start pulling those things together. And this program standardizes it across the district. You go in, you have a meeting with a parent, or you put an intervention in place with a child. It's a place for you to put it in, what you're doing. There's things you can just check off or click on that you're doing. There's a place for you to write text. It's set up specifically for this. So when we're asked for a report on what we're doing, what does our RTI program look like at Bridge High? You can go to the system, you can run a report, or what did you do with this particular child at this particular school? You can go and run a report directly from there. People don't have to stop what they're doing and start gathering data. You do it, the system is live, and as you're meeting with parents, as you're putting interventions in place, you're entering it in the system. So to Mr. Knott's point, it's a very good point, but the system is designed to make less work for people, not more work. We're doing it already, and we're required to do this centralized.
Just 1 second, all right? I agree, it's probably a very good program, and we have a time frame, but that is, to me, that is something that should be presented when we have time during an education committee meeting where we can actually about it, see what's happening.
Okay, Mr. Fred.
I just wanted to point out that what it does is, and I don't know if somebody mentioned, if you put an intervention in place for a particular student, well, let's say that intervention is put in place for 3 weeks. Within 3 weeks, you can track that intervention as to whether or not it's working. And if it's not working, it's gonna give you another intervention that could be used to assist that child. So without having to try to create an intervention to use with the child, because it's already in the system. So which, it's gonna make it much easier for administrators and for the people that are doing RTI on the campuses, because it kind of works in tangent with J Campus, because if you import or you enter data into J Campus, then you can pull that data and match that data with the information that's coming out of this system. So they kind of work together to give you the best information that you need for a particular student, so.
I just think we need to vote on it every year, as far as if we get feedback.
We have a motion by Ms. Vito, second by Mr. Hosey.
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to also add that this, if it, once voted on, that we bring this up every year, so that it's renewed on a yearly basis.
Okay.
Just so that we can get some feedback.
We got a second to the amendment?
Yep.
We have a second. All in favor? We vote on the amendment. Any nays? The motion carried. Item 6, board member request. Ms. Boyd, talk.
Okay, I have Miss Candy Bertrand that's here to speak on behalf of the church, Our Savior's Church. Do you want to do a survey, Miss Candy? Would you want to come up to the podium? Y'all do have a letter in front that kind of explains everything, what they want to do. They did it, y'all did it in last year, right?
So over the years, hi, I'm Candy Bertrand, by the way. Thank you for letting me come up and speak. Over the years, we have been involved in projects. I'm not sure if you're aware of Love Our Schools, where we've served a lot of the schools in Lafayette. But we have been serving St. Martinville for over 15 years now, and we've worked with the schools in that amount of time because we do have an outreach center based there. And so this year we've come and asked Ms. Jessica Landry at ELC, and also I walked the campus with Mr. Skipper today, just asking how we could come in and serve their school on this national survey on July the 16th. So we talked through some projects that possibly could be done that we could help serve them with. And then alongside of that, we also requested that during that same day, since we will have volunteers there serving the school, we requested to use the gym to do a vacation Bible school to invite all the children in the area to do something with them simultaneously as well.
If it's just for discussion, I'll put it on next week so we can vote on it.
Okay.
Y'all have any questions? Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming. Item 7, for executive session.
No, you missed one. You missed mine. Number 6.
Wait.
But, yeah.
You're looking at the old agenda.
Oh, well, you.
I didn't
I didn't get the new agenda.
Hey, you read your emails.
Okay.
Mine is a discussion of recent
Why is that the
transportation.
old agenda?
You step up to the plate, Rick.
Go ahead, go ahead.
All right, mine is, the way mine reads, it's a discussion of recent transportation issues. It's actually in the Cecilia area. Well, no, it's actually Parish. Years ago, I proposed something that we look at possibly outsourcing, possibly the maintenance department, the transportation, janitorial. But we just recently had to basically close school down on graduation day because we didn't have enough bus drivers. So I'd like staff to look into possibly outsourcing that if there's any ways possible. And it's not to try to replace anybody because listen, I have, especially those who had children graduating, I respect that 100%. But sometimes people just abuse calling in, and that's just society nowadays. It's hard to get somebody to even go to work, much less, on an everyday basis. But I think we need to look into it to try to help offset, because I know in our area, it was the parents were pretty upset because a lot of these parents all of a sudden at the last minute had to take off of work or find somehow to keep their children entertained that day. So that was my main issue right there. It was the discussion on.
All right.
Go ahead, Mr. Lau.
I just happened to be at a school, visiting the school, when my cell phone started ringing. Upset parents, all right? And it kind of upset me too. And I went back home and I did see an email that school was closed. Well, I think personally, it was a mistake to shut down school. Should have kept it open. It made my afternoon much easier. People are taking advantage of their jobs, right? I'm going to use me as an example. A few months ago, I had Wendy rather, go back on my record. I have attended 380 board meetings here in the last 27 years. I missed one meeting. I haven't. And the reason is I was on vacation, there was a plane delay. Otherwise, I would have been 381 plus other meetings, transportation meetings, education committee meetings, DSAG meetings. I've come over here sick. I've come over here when my children were not feeling well. I think that employees have got to start looking at this is a job and I'm being paid. And to have that many bus drivers stay home when the superintendent coming in and basically all the close school a bit earlier, but whatever, 1:30 coming in, and they still refuse, there is something wrong, or there's something wrong with it. And then I think I saw on the text news, what about next year? It would have been very easy. School will be open next year. It's on the calendar. So we have to stress the employees, they have a job to do. Now I know the graduation was at night. They could easily have driven that day. But again,
Especially when the superintendent gives the opportunity to.
it ain't no backwards.
I mean, it's just, it puts parents in a difficult position, point blank.
I think Lafayette, the parents bring the kids to school when something like that happens.
No, I know, my wife, Richard, but I checked some statistics today, and I know for years when Smile was running Head Start, they had school buses picking up kids, right? Last bus went great. And I know Ms. Angel faced a similar issue at the beginning of this year. Now, I don't see all those buses. I don't see here. I have not had a single call from any parent about any bus problems with Head Start. Not one. So it can be done more. We can do it all.
I just want to say something on that issue that, we can probably solve that problem another time. Graduation is important.
It's very important.
I'd suggest maybe, have graduation at staggered time, maybe on Saturday. Maybe, one on Wednesday, one on a Thursday, one on a Friday. Anytime you make graduation, regardless of the day, people are gonna show up. So, maybe the supervisor wanna look into, right. And come back to the board, like you say, come back to the board next meeting with some idea, and we can probably maybe look at it, because, bus drivers is a shortage throughout the whole parish, and bus drivers are controlling every school right now. If you look at it, if they say they ain't coming, then what you gonna do?
That's why you need to start looking at possibly outsourcing.
Exactly.
Hire a company. It is what it is. They put it on
But
the-
that's why you have the
Richard.
supervisors look
I
at it.
didn't say replace the employees, but those.
Maybe
once they-
we should change graduation instead of on a
That's why we have
Friday,
people.
yeah, we need to have it on Saturday,
Right.
so that's no excuse.
Well,
So we need to look at that
We'll
too.
come back in July.
Make some suggestions.
Yeah, put it on the Saturday.
Okay, well, we have an individual who wants to speak on the executive session before we go to executive session, and that's Celeste Lafayette.
You can only speak on that topic.
On that particular topic, on the DSAG topic, and that would be, Thomas versus St. Martin Parish School Board.
Good afternoon. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Celeste Lodgley. I'm one of the voices for the citizens and children of Catahoula. I'm here today to discuss Catahoula Elementary and its future, the future of our children, our community, which will be directly impacted by the August 8th trial or hearing with Judge Foote. After consulting with our legal advisors, we felt it necessary to come up with some recommendations for you to present to Judge Foote. Several meetings back, Mr. Knott brought this matter up for discussion, and Mr. Foti said it was too early. In reality, it probably should have been done when Catahoula Elementary was closed. The input of the community is very important in this matter. It affects all of us, not just the children. It has affected our whole community already. Mr. Foti did propose a Head Start, which we all know the community was strongly opposed to. So let me begin by addressing Mr. Hammond and his team. You guys work for the school board, right? School board members, you work for us. Mr. Knott just finished saying how important it is for employees to show up. Y'all work for us, ladies and gentlemen. You were put in your position by us, so you are accountable to us, the citizens that voted you into this position. Our proposal for you guys to present to Judge Foote are as follows. We want our pre-K through 8th grade back. Take those kids in the rezoned area and bring them to Catahoula School. If they have a choice of whether they go to Catahoula or not, all kids in the parish should have school of choice. Every one of them. If y'all can't get pre-K through 8 back, we want pre-K through 5th back. And if that doesn't happen, our third suggestion is pre-K through 5th students from ELC and St. Martinville Primary get bused to Catahoula. The St. Martinville Primary can now become part of St. Martinville Senior High. ELC can now become strictly a JCEP campus. And if y'all don't have funds for that, y'all could probably talk to y'all representative, Mike P. Duval, because he could probably find some funds for special projects. And y'all could also talk to our sheriff. He might be involved in that JCEP program also. If Judge Foote rejects all of these proposals, we, the Catahoula community, know we at least tried to fight for our children. Now let me ask all of you, have y'all come up with some proposals? Because we know y'all need to come up with proposals for the hearing, right? Y'all have to present some proposals on what we're gonna do with the school. Am I wrong?
Yes,
Have y'all talked about that?
yes.
We want to be involved in that. It affects our community. We want input in that.
Yeah. On the litigation, we have to do an executive session.
There are some things that could be done with the community.
Yeah.
We got legal advisors tell us that we need to get together as a community and talk about these things. We have documents. On another matter, I'd like to ask all of you to find funding to provide more security for our schools in light of the recent tragedy in Texas, especially ELC. And hold on one second because I forgot something very important. ELC needs extra protection. These babies and the staff are in the middle of a crime zone. This are calls and arrests in ELC area for this school year. This is from St. Martin City Police. This, I can hand it to y'all. Those babies need protection. Their staff needs protection. Instead of spending $800,000 on a storage building or millions of dollars on football fields, we propose y'all look into hiring an ex-military, ex-police officers to be on campus all day, every day, so that presence is there every day. The school in Texas, a secure campus. They had a resource officer. Look what happened. Somebody got in through the back door. The resource officer was nowhere in sight. You hire somebody like an ex-military guy, an ex-police officer, they are not going to back down to an active shooter. They won't. They are trained not to. So, our children deserve a safe, secure environment for optimal learning. Now, my next question is, how long are we going to be in this trial with Judge Foote? We know her.
standing on all of this? How many more schools are gonna get shut down? Catahoula was a sacrificial lamb, you think she's gonna stop at that? Or is she coming after these schools like Parks, Cecilia High School, that was right there over the limit with white kids? They are in compliance now because of M to M. Y'all think they're gonna stop? Do you think they're gonna stop, or is she gonna keep demanding more and more out of you? How long are y'all plan on doing this? So, Mr. Superintendent, members of the board, we want y'all to know, we are not gonna keep quiet, and we will not be shut up. We will continue to fight for our children and the community of Catahoula. We want input, we wanna know what's going on. So now I challenge all of you to step up to the plate, grow some balls, and do the right thing for the children.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, we have to need a motion to executive session.
Yes.
Moved by Mr. Goldie, second by Ms. Johnson. All in favor? Go to executive session. Moved by Mark, second by Ms. Vito. Any motion, any no, they, motion carried.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to accept items 1 to 3, the proposals 1 to 3, as, our lawyers proposed.
We have a motion by Mr. Cookie, second by Mr. Clay. Vote. Any nays? The motion carried.
I'd like to make another motion that, we authorize staff to implement proposal number 4, but it must include, the students of Catahoola and St. Martin Parish students, as far as the educational use of Catahoola.
We have a motion by Mr. Fourteen, second by Mr. Clay. Vote. Any nays? The motion carried.
Okay, Mr. President, I do have one item.
Yes, sir. More items.
Okay, we have a number of students that applied for the educational scholarship in St. Martin Parish, and they weren't here yet when we got the acclamations, so I'd like to recognize those students now. We get 3 scholarships a year. We had 3 applicants, and 2 from St. Martinville High School. One is Jolie Laprousse. Ms. Jolie. Congratulations. Okay, the students are going to receive $300 per semester for the 4 years of college, provided they maintain a 2.5 GPA average, and they must remain enrolled in the College of Education. The second student is Abby Poirier from St. Martinville High School.
Thank you.
And the third student is not here tonight, but Josie Blanchard, actually my daughter. So
Okay.
she's going into.
Before we close, I recognize, I see our former superintendent in the audience, Ms. Lila Beebe. How you doing, Ms. Beebe?
I'm doing fine.
All right.
Thank you for those.
Thank you for coming to this. We need a motion to, motion adjourned. Motion to adjourn. Nay, go ahead and say what you said.